channel. This is a very exciting video. A lot of you have been waiting a really long time for this video, and I am so sorry for the wait. I just haven't found time to film it, but I am finally getting around to it, and I'm so excited to share this with you guys. And before anyone even says anything, yes, I did dye my hair. I was blonde, and now this is a very, very dark brown. Also, if you guys haven't checked out my other videos on my Starfire cosplay, I have the makeup tutorial up and my hair wig tutorial, so you guys can see how I made my wig and how I do my makeup every time I do this costume. So if you haven't checked out those videos, make sure you do. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me. And if you guys enjoy this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up if you want to see more videos like this. So I'm going to be starting out with the gems that I made for Starfire's costume. These kind of had to be made first, considering you have to make the holes for the costume the same size as the gems so that they fit. So I made the gems first, and then that way I could figure out what size I needed to cut in the costume for the holes. So the gems were actually pretty hard to figure out how to do because I was using a very light fabric and it is very stretchy. I couldn't have my gems weighing down my costume because it would just make the whole material sag and just look not good. So I decided that I had to make the gems light enough so that it wouldn't weigh down the costume and would be just light in general, so my costume just wouldn't be heavy. So I knew I couldn't use resin because resin tends to be a little bit heavier, so I kind of had to come up with my own concept for the gems, which was pretty hard to kind of figure out, but the actual process of making the gems is very, very easy, and I really liked how they turned out. So I will show you a finished one that I didn't end up using, but this is what they look like. Very glittery, and a lot of people decide to put an LED light in the back of it, which is a great idea if you really want your gems to glow. An LED light is a perfect idea. I just didn't really decide on doing that, but it's a really good idea if you want them to glow. So all the materials that you'll need to make the gems can be found at any craft store, maybe possibly even Walmart. I shop at a local craft store of mine, which isn't a chain, so I can't really tell you guys where I got them, but any craft store, Michael's, anything like that will work. So what you're going to want to pick up is the Googly Eyes. So those little Googly Eyes you use in elementary school, those little things, those, but you want to get the big version of them. And I will insert a picture right here. So what you're going to do with the Googly Eyes is you're going to take the back off of them and you're going to take the little eye part out. So you're left with like a hollow half clear shell. So that's going to be the little mold we're using for the gem. And it's super cheap. I think they were like $3 or $4 for a pack of them. And I got a few different sizes because I wanted the gems to be different sizes on my costume. So they're pretty easy to find. You can find them almost anywhere. The other thing that you'll need is beads. So they're like this, and I found these at the same store. They look like this, and each individual bead looks like this. So they're those little I don't even know what these are called. They're not really a triangle, but you guys have seen these before. You're gonna want to pick up a bag of those, and those are pretty cheap. I think the bag was like $2 or $3.99, super cheap. You can get them anywhere. Second to last thing you'll need is glitter. So I chose a glitter that was a little bit lighter in green than the beads, just so I had a variety of colors in my gems so it would have more dimension. So I picked up a glitter, a green glitter like this, and you can use any color glitter you want, but you obviously want it to match the color of your gems. And this was like, I think like $1 something, so super cheap again. You could probably find some of this stuff even at the dollar store. Super cheap, super easy, and the result is actually really great. And the last thing you'll need is glue. And I used an industrial strength glue for this because I wanted it to be completely transparent so that the glue doesn't show in the gems. And I will insert a picture right here of the glue that I chose for this project. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to take your little shell of the googly eye and you're going to want to kind of sprinkle, or I should say like glaze the inside of it just like back and forth with the glue, and then you're just going to want to stick in a bunch of beads in the bottom, and I just kind of sat there and pieced them together into the bottom, which was super easy, and I had one layer kind of covering the inside of it, and I would just go layer by layer with the glue, just kind of filling it with beads, but I was sticking each bead to other beads so that they wouldn't move around in the gym. And I did put the glitter on first as well, so I just sprinkled a little bit of glitter on the top, and then I started gluing down the beads. I don't know why I said beads first, I forgot. I put the glitter first and then the beads. So I did that, and then the next thing is optional. You could do this a different way, but what I chose to do to hold my entire gem together was I bought those little sheets of felt, and I chose green felt obviously to match the gem, and I just cut it out in a circle and glued it to the gem so it would hold everything together. Super cheap, super easy, you can find it anywhere. So just a disclaimer, for the rest of the costume I did have professional help. So if you know how to sew, you won't need help with this costume, but if you're like me and you are not talented at sewing or anything having to do with fabric, then don't be afraid to ask somebody you know in your family or friends that is good at sewing, or a professional like I did. So I worked with a professional on the fabric part of my costume, and that is how I had it personally tailored to me, and it was fun working with another person and having somebody else kind of give their 2 cents into your costume and promoting somebody else in the business. So this was super fun to work on, and I will show you guys kind of how she did it. I'll try and explain kind of how she helped me with it. Okay, so what I did first, before I even knew what I was going to do for making the costume, was I picked up the materials I needed. The area where I live, Joann's is the best place to get materials, and they always have coupons out, so make sure that you get coupons from Joann's or another craft store that you go to for material, and that way you'll be spending a lot less on your costume than you normally would. So I got coupons and I went to Joann's and I looked through all the material that they had to make sure that I knew exactly what I wanted. And I will actually insert a photo of the materials I used right here. So I chose these materials because I wanted them to have a little bit of stretch to them, since this costume is kind of more of a spandexy type of costume. I wanted the material to be very similar to that, so it would be easy to work with, but I also wanted it to have a metallic shine to it, just like Starfire's does. So this is the silver material that I used. I still have a bunch left over because when I did pick it up, I wanted to make sure I had enough, so I ended up having leftovers, which is totally fine with me. If you want to know exactly how much that you'll need, you can always ask somebody, but I just picked up, I think, three yards of each kind, and that ended up being enough. So this material is pretty stretchy, as you can see. Kind of has a little bit of stretch. It's not quite like spandex, but it's very similar, and it has little metallic round circles, if you can see. So this was like the perfect material for her costume. And I got this in purple as well, obviously. What ended up happening was I was originally planning on trying to make this costume, the fabric part, myself, which I sat down and realized that I had no idea how to do it. And it would honestly just turn out really bad if I tried to sew anything. So I went into a store, my local sewing store, and I had somebody who specializes in costumes help me out with my measurements and all that stuff. So she took my measurements and I gave her the material, and she found so she used a basic design for a long sleeve top, and obviously she just cut it to make a crop top and made it kind of go in towards the center of my belly. And then for the bottoms, she just used a basic short. Just they're pretty easy. The shorts are just basic short, and you can pick up any pattern. You can pick up any pattern, any patterns that you need, and you just tailor them to the costume. So we had quite a few fittings that I had to do for this, and we just kind of worked together and figured out what kind of design that I wanted to do, and it was a lot of fun working on it. I'm I'm kind of sad that I couldn't really sew it myself, but honestly, you guys, I'm just not talented in that field at all. My thing is crafting and makeup, not sewing. So usually it's pretty easy for me to make my cosplays because I can throw things together, but this one you really need to tailor it to yourself and possibly have help with it if you don't know how to sew like I do. So I will show you guys kind of what you need to do. So this is the top, and I believe this is what we worked on first, and it looks kind of like this. It turned out so well. I'm so happy. Kind of like that. And the purple was just a perfect shade too that I picked up. I'm so happy. So we did the basic pattern for a long sleeve top and then just cropped it short. And also, I guess I should say a turtleneck top because it does have a turtleneck on it. So we did a turtleneck top and then made it shorter. And then also for the sleeves, you want to make sure that you have a little point at the end. And for the holes, what we did is when we had one of our fittings, I put on the shirt that she had made for me, and what she did is she took, I think it was chalk she used, and she took the chalk and drew circles, what size and where I wanted them on my shoulders, in the middle, and made sure they were all even. And you guys want to make sure that you draw the circles when you have the costume on, because if you draw them, I've seen people do this, if you draw them when the costume isn't on you, they're gonna turn out lopsided, and because when the material stretches when you put it on, they're gonna look completely different when you think for the shorts. So the little holes in the sides, I've seen a lot of people mess this up. On the holes on the sides, they'll cut them when they're off of their body and they'll turn out way too big, and yeah, you just want to make sure that you do it when it's on. And then for the little holes, after she cut the holes, to hold them together, you want to make sure, I believe it's a little kind of ribbon she used, and it's this little silver ribbon you can see is what she used around each of the holes. Let me show you guys. And she used that for the piping on the costume as well. So she used this little silver, as you can see, this little silver ribbon that she picked up. I don't know exactly where she got it, but she picked that up for me and used these on the holes. Let me show you guys. So it looks like that. It's just a basic silver little ribbon, but it's a flat one. Make sure your ribbon is flat, and you'll use that for the piping and all the other stuff. Pretty much around the whole costume. Okay, we have the gems and the holes covered. So yeah, the patterns are really, you can pick up the patterns at Joann's as well if you do have a Joann's near you, or I'm sure any place that carries fabric will have a pattern you can use for the shorts and the long sleeve top, and you just alter it to you. I had to decide what I wanted to do for the boots because I wanted something that I could just kind of throw on. I didn't want to make boots out of actual shoes. I didn't want to have to glue them to the shoes and then try and get my foot in them. So we came up with the easiest solution, and what I did is I decided that we would do boot covers, and a lot of cosplayers do boot covers, but the easiest way. And the boots look like this. They're just, whoo, all tangled up. So they look like this. They're all floppy at the bottom, and it is shaped to the shoe that I had brought in, and we kind of measured the shoe and made sure that it would fit, and we put elastic on the bottom so it would hold the shoe in place and my boot covers wouldn't ride up on the shoe when I was wearing them. So these are super great because you can just slip your foot in them. And let me show you guys the shoes that I have gotten for this costume. So for the shoes, I actually picked them up from a secondhand store that I have locally in my area, and they look kind of like this, and they're just a basic wedge, and they're actually really cute to wear by themselves too, but I mainly bought them for the costume. So they look like this, and you want to make sure that you get a wedge. I have seen other people do heels, but it doesn't really look right because if you do heels, you'll just have this point here and then the space is empty here, and the material will actually sink into that space when you're wearing them. So you want to make sure that you get wedges so it's solid and it actually looks like boots, like high-heeled boots. If you want that look, of course, you guys can do your costume however you want to, but these are super easy. So I just pretty much slip my foot into this, and there's a little zipper on the back, and then I'll slip the boot cover over, make sure the elastic's on the bottom, and there's my boot. Super easy. The only thing I would recommend, we didn't really think about this, but when I do wear these, the boot covers do fall down. The tops of these where my thigh is, and it will actually slip down, and I've tried using fashion tape. So, you know, fashion tape is like that sticky stuff you're supposed to hold your bra straps in place and stuff like that, and it just doesn't really work with these. So what I would do, you guys, if you're doing this costume, put elastic on this inside of the part of the boot and maybe a clear part right here, and that way it'll actually suction like to your leg and stay on, because when I was walking through a show wearing my costume, they were falling down and it was very embarrassing and whatever, I don't really care, but it was funny, and they were just like falling all over the place, just down to my foot. So I loved doing this version. It was super fun. If you guys can get help from a professional or a family member or friend, then good luck, and I wish you guys all the best and have fun making your Starfire cosplays. I'm on Instagram under Lindsay Comics, and yeah, let me know if you guys recreate this look or any other look by Starfire. I'd love to see, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!